Incident report. The Eidolon Collective and the Church of the Broken God assault on site. Redacted. Date, May 7th, 2025. Location, Foundation site, redacted. Threat entities, SCP-Foundation, the Church of the Broken God. Objective, acquisition of SCP-882. 4:35 a.m. Initial breach, the Hollow Circle's digital assault. At precisely 4:35 a.m., Site Redacted experienced widespread malfunctions in its IT infrastructure, security systems, and surveillance networks. These disruptions were later attributed to Eidolon 003, the Hollow Wraith, leader of the Hollow Circle faction of the Eidolon Collective. Attempts to restore function failed as cameras flickered to static, biometric locks failed, and all forms of digital security began to loop corrupted data. Observed abilities of Eidolon 003. Phase shift, pass through electronic barriers and restricted areas without resistance. Surveillance immunity, remained unseen on security footage, effectively rendering countermeasures useless. Silent erasure, erased digital and physical traces of their infiltration, ensuring no evidence of their presence could be detected. Foundation response. At 4:50 a.m., Site Redacted's emergency response team was placed on high alert. Security personnel were instructed to maintain physical patrols and manual oversight due to the complete collapse of electronic surveillance. 05:27 a.m., main entrance assault, the Crimson Hands offensive. Less than an hour later, the main gates of Site Redacted were ripped from their hinges and hurled into the central atrium, causing significant structural damage. Seconds after, an overwhelming force of heavily armed operatives stormed the facility, led by Eidolon 004, the Crimson Dagger, the leader of the Crimson Hand faction. Observed abilities of Eidolon 004. Enhanced reflexes and combat skills. Engaged Foundation security forces with inhuman speed and precision. Regenerative healing. Sustained injuries were visibly healed in seconds, making conventional engagement difficult. Adaptive endurance showed no signs of fatigue, pain, or hesitation. Blood memory. Brief contact with injured personnel provided insight into their memories, allowing for prediction of countermeasures. Foundation response. Security teams engaged in open combat, suffering heavy losses. Defensive barriers were overwhelmed within minutes. Reinforcements were deployed from Sub-Level 3 to contain the incursion, but were met with high casualties due to Eidolon 004's presence. 05:33 a.m., Containment Wing Delta silenced. At 05:33 a.m., Containment Wing Delta, housing SCP-882, lost all communication with Central Command. Multiple reports indicated that Foundation soldiers collapsed without cause, their expressions locked in fear and confusion. Subsequent investigation attributed these casualties to Eidolon 006, the Shadow Society's leader. Observed abilities of Eidolon 006. Absolute silence. Produced no detectable sound, rendering traditional tracking impossible. Shadow step. Moved unseen between shadows, appearing behind personnel without warning. Anomaly. Suppression temporarily disabled the anomalous properties of nearby entities, neutralizing several Foundation countermeasures. Killing intent. Induced extreme paranoia and terror, causing operatives to collapse from psychological shock before physical engagement. Unseen execution. Victims were found deceased without evidence of forced entry, and security locks remained intact despite breached areas. Foundation response. By the time reinforcements arrived at Containment Wing Delta, half the station personnel were already incapacitated or dead. Counteroffensives were largely ineffective, as traditional combat measures failed against Eidolon 006's unique abilities. 5:45 a.m. Third-party intervention, the Church of the Broken God. As the Eidolon Collective neared SCP-882's containment chamber, unexpected hostiles breached Site Redacted from the Eastern Service tunnels, agents of the Church of the Broken God. Unlike the calculated strikes of the Eidolon Collective, the Church's attack was a zealous shock assault. prioritizing brute force and religious fervor. Church forces deployed, augmented cyborg warriors, enhanced with metallic grafts, these zealots displayed inhuman strength and durability. Electromagnetic pulse emitters, disrupted Foundation weaponry and technology, worsening the effects of the Hollow Circle's prior IT sabotage. Necromancer priests ritualistically attempted to integrate SCP-882 into their theological constructs, chanting liturgies of ascension. 6:10 a.m., all-out three-way conflict. With the Church of the Broken God entering the fray, Site Redacted was plunged into chaos. Foundation forces struggled to contain both factions simultaneously. The Eidolon Collective fought aggressively to secure SCP-882, while the Church sought to dismantle its containment to fuse it into their mechanical deity. Notable moments: Eidolon 004 clashed with the Church cyborgs, effortlessly cutting through reinforced limbs but struggling against their sheer resilience. Eidolon 006 engaged a necromancer priest, nullifying his control over SCP-882 temporarily before vanishing back into the shadows. Eidolon 003 attempted a direct digital override of the site's security, only to find the Church's EMP pulses continually scrambling their work. SCP-882 reacted violently, vibrating and generating spontaneous metallic growths, attempting to integrate all present into its mass. 06:45 a.m. Strategic withdrawal. By 6:45 a.m., both the Eidolon Collective and the Church of the Broken God were forced to retreat. The Eidolon Collective, determined that securing SCP-882 was no longer viable due to overwhelming opposition. Eidolon 003 issued the retreat order. The Church of the Broken God, with their reinforcements dwindling, their leader commanded a strategic fallback, vowing to return for the divine machine. The SCP-Foundation, despite catastrophic losses, successfully prevented SCP-882 from leaving containment, though extensive repairs to Site Redacted were required. Final damage report: Foundation casualties, 87 confirmed dead, 120 injured. Eidolon Collective losses, unknown. Due to Eidolon 003's abilities, tracking casualties was impossible. Church of the Broken God losses: approximately 60% of their attacking force was neutralized before retreat. Site damage, severe. Multiple containment breaches required immediate resealing. IT infrastructure remained compromised for several hours. SCP-882 status: remained contained but exhibited heightened anomalous activity post-incident. Conclusion and security measures: Site Redacted remains under high alert. Reinforced security protocols have been enacted, and further containment reinforcements for SCP-882 are underway. A joint task force has been assigned to monitor the Eidolon Collective's movements, while the Church's activities remain under intelligence review. The risk of another confrontation remains high. You cannot contain what refuses to be contained. Eidolon Collective Manifesto. Now go and watch another entry about the 5. I will be waiting.